Let me tell you something powerful. The storm of problems does not come to break you, it comes to reveal you. Anyone can smile when life is easy. Anyone can speak big words when nothing is at risk. But when everything shakes, when the pressure rises, when people doubt you, when money is tight, when relationships crack, if you can stay calm right there, you have already won, not later, not someday, right there. Because calm is power. The storm does not decide the winner, the response does. And if you stay calm in difficult times, you already won. Not because the problem disappeared, but because you refuse to disappear inside the problem. Today I want to share 7 truths that will change the way you face hard times forever. The first key point is calm is control. When life hits you unexpectedly, your first battle is not with the situation, it is with yourself. Think about the last time something went wrong. Maybe it was a message you didn't expect, a call that changed your plans, a mistake that cost you money. Before you even responded, your heart rate changed, your breathing shifted, your thoughts started racing ahead of reality. In that small moment, you either grab the steering wheel of your mind or you let your emotions grab it for you. Control does not begin outside. It begins in that invisible space inside your chest where reaction is being born. And if you can pause right there, if you can steady your breath and say, I will not let this shake me, you are no longer a victim of the moment. You are the driver. Most people think control means controlling outcomes. It doesn't. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control other people's opinions. You cannot control sudden loss or unexpected delays, but you can control your internal temperature. Imagine a thermostat in a house. When it's freezing outside, the thermostat doesn't panic. It adjusts. When it's burning hot, it doesn't scream. It regulates. Your calmness is that thermostat. The world outside may swing wildly, but inside you can choose balance. I once heard about a small business owner whose store was flooded overnight. Employees were crying. Neighbors were shocked, but he walked in quietly, rolled up his sleeves and said, "We clean, we rebuild, we move." That calm decision saved not just the business, but the morale of everyone watching him. His control over himself created stability for others. When you lose emotional control, you don't just feel bad, you make bad decisions. Panic shortens your vision. It forces you to act fast, speak fast, decide fast. And speed without clarity is dangerous. Think about how many regrets in life came from heated moments. Words you wish you could take back, choices made in anger, relationships damaged because you reacted instead of responded. Calm stretches time. It gives you a wider view. It allows you to see beyond the current wave. A calm mind is like standing on a hill during a storm. You can see where the rain is moving. You can see where shelter is. But when you are inside the chaos emotionally, you cannot see anything clearly. Control is the ability to step onto that hill within yourself. There is a quiet strength in someone who refuses to be emotionally hijacked. You've seen it before. In a meeting where tension rises and everyone is talking over each other, there is always one person who leans back, listens, and speaks slowly. Suddenly the room listens. Why? Because calm carries authority. It signals confidence. It tells people, I am not threatened. When you stay calm, you are telling the world that the situation does not own you. A young athlete once missed a game-winning shot. The crowd groaned. His teammates dropped their heads. But he nodded, jogged back, and defended the next play with focus. After the game, someone asked how he stayed composed. He said, "If I lose my mind over one mistake, I lose the whole game." That is control. Control also protects your dignity. In difficult times, people watch how you respond, not because they want you to fail, but because they are measuring your strength. Anyone can appear stable when everything is smooth, but when something cracks, your plan, your image, your comfort, your reaction reveals your foundation. If you collapse emotionally every time pressure increases, life will feel like a constant emergency. But when you stay steady, you build a reputation inside yourself. You begin to trust yourself. You start saying, "I've handled worse. I can handle this." That self-trust is priceless. It changes how you walk into future challenges. Many people think calmness is passive. It is not. It is active discipline. It is choosing silence when your ego wants to shout. It is choosing patience when your pride feels attacked. It is choosing to think before speaking. That requires strength. Real strength is not loud. It is controlled. Think of a professional pilot flying through turbulence. The plane shakes. Passengers panic, but the pilot's voice remains steady. Why? Because panic would spread fear. Calm spreads assurance. In your own life, you are the pilot. Your thoughts are the passengers. If you panic, your entire inner world becomes chaotic. But if you stay composed, your thoughts settle. Control begins in small daily moments. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when a plan gets delayed, when criticism stings. These are training grounds. If you cannot stay calm in small irritations, how will you stay calm in major storms? Emotional control is built quietly, day by day. It is built when you pause before replying, when you breathe instead of reacting, when you choose understanding over assumption. Over time, that discipline becomes your nature. And one day, when a real crisis hits, you will notice something powerful. Your heart will still beat fast, the situation will still be serious, but your mind will remain steady. In that steadiness, you will realize something deeply empowering. No matter what is happening around you, you are still in charge of yourself. The second key point is panic is expensive. Panic looks free in the moment. It feels automatic, almost justified. Something goes wrong and your body reacts before your mind has time to think. But what you don't see right away is the bill. That comes later. Panic charges interest. It adds extra cost to problems that were already heavy. A simple misunderstanding turns into a broken relationship because of one heated message. A small financial setback becomes a crisis because you rushed into a desperate decision. Panic whispers, "Act now or you'll lose everything." And in listening to that whisper, people often lose far more than they would have by staying still. Think about how many times you made things worse by reacting too quickly. Maybe you quit a job in frustration without a plan. Maybe you said words in anger that took years to repair. Maybe you assumed the worst before asking one calm question. Panic narrows your thinking. It's like trying to read a full map through a tiny keyhole. You only see danger. You only see urgency. You don't see options. I once met a young man who invested his savings into a small business. The first month was slow. Fear took over. He pulled his money out at a loss and shut everything down. 6 months later, someone else took the same idea, stayed patient, and succeeded. The difference wasn't intelligence, it was emotional endurance. Panic is expensive because it steals clarity. When your emotions spike, your brain shifts into survival mode. You stop thinking long term. You stop weighing consequences. You just want relief. And relief becomes more important than wisdom. That is why people send that angry text. That is why they make that impulsive purchase. That is why they walk away from something meaningful over a temporary discomfort. They are not evil. They are not foolish. They are just trying to escape the discomfort of uncertainty. But growth lives inside uncertainty. If you escape it too quickly, you escape the opportunity hidden within it. There was a mother raising 2 children on her own after her husband left. One day, she lost her job unexpectedly. For a few hours, fear took over. She imagined eviction, hunger, embarrassment. She almost called everyone she knew, ready to blame the company, ready to collapse into panic. But she stopped. She sat at her kitchen table and wrote down every possible step she could take. She called former co-workers calmly. She applied to 5 jobs that same evening. Within weeks, she found a better position. Later she said, "The day I lost my job could have destroyed me, but panic would have destroyed me faster." That is the hidden cost. Panic doesn't wait for the problem to grow. It multiplies it instantly. Panic is also expensive because it damages your image in your own eyes. When you look back at moments where you overreacted, you feel regret, and regret slowly chips away at confidence. You start doubting yourself. You start thinking, can I trust my decisions when things get hard? But every time you choose calm over chaos, you build a memory of strength. You build proof that you can handle pressure. Panic writes stories of weakness inside you. Calm writes stories of capability. And over time, those stories shape your identity. It is important to understand that fear itself is not the enemy. Fear is natural. It is information. It tells you something matters. But panic is fear without discipline. Fear can guide you to prepare. Panic pushes you to explode. Imagine holding a glass of water. Fear is the weight of the glass, manageable, noticeable. Panic is shaking your hand so violently that the water spills everywhere. The glass was never the real problem. The shaking was. Many people blame the situation for the mess in their lives. But often it was the emotional shaking that caused the spill. You may think your panic only affects you, but it spreads. In a family, one person's emotional breakdown can create tension for everyone. In a workplace, one leader's anxiety can infect the entire team. People take emotional cues from each other. If you panic, others feel less safe. If you stay steady, others find stability. Your reaction becomes a signal. I once watched a small construction crew face a major project delay. The workers were ready to argue and blame each other. But the supervisor calmly said, "We solve this one step at a time." His tone changed the room. The problem didn't disappear, but the energy shifted. That shift saved days of conflict. And here is something most people never realize. Panic makes you underestimate your resilience. When you react as if something is unbearable, Your mind believes it is unbearable. But when you stay present and face it slowly, you discover you are stronger than you assume. Many storms look terrifying from a distance. But when you walk through them steadily, you see they are survivable. Panic convinces you that you cannot endure. Calm reveals that you can. The cost of panic is not just mistakes or regret. It is the lost opportunity to discover your own depth of strength. The THIRD key point is your peace confuses your problems. Problems expect a reaction. They knock on your door assuming you will panic. They walk into your day assuming you will lose balance. It is almost as if difficulty feeds on noise. The louder your fear, the stronger it appears. The more you chase it emotionally, the bigger it grows in your mind. But when you respond with stillness, something unusual happens. The problem does not know how to expand. It cannot push against calm energy the way it pushes against anxiety. Imagine someone trying to start an argument with you, raising their voice, expecting you to match their tone. But you answer softly. You listen. You don't interrupt. Suddenly their fire has nothing to burn. Most conflicts escalate because both sides bring heat. One harsh word meets another. One ego meets another. But when you bring peace into a tense moment, you change the temperature of the room. I once watched two business partners argue over a financial mistake. One was furious, ready to end the partnership. The other sat quietly, let the anger pass like a wave, and then said, "Let's solve it, not fight it." That sentence didn't just calm the argument, it redirected it. Peace does not mean weakness. It means you refuse to let someone else's storm enter your bloodstream. It means you are strong enough to remain steady while others shake. Your peace is powerful because it protects your perspective. When you are emotionally triggered, your vision shrinks. You only see the offense. You only see the threat. But when you remain calm, you see the whole picture. You see context. You see patterns. You see possibilities. A teacher once told a student who was constantly disruptive, "I see that you're not angry at me. You're tired." That simple, peaceful insight changed the entire relationship. The student wasn't fighting the teacher anymore. He was fighting his own exhaustion from problems at home. Peace gave teacher clarity that anger would have hidden. There is something deeply unsettling to negativity when it meets calm confidence. Imagine someone trying to intimidate you. They expect you to shrink or lash out. But instead, you look at them with steady eyes and respond without emotion. Their power weakens. Why? Because they were counting on your reaction to feel strong. Many people provoke because they want to control the emotional direction of the situation. When you stay peaceful, you quietly take that control back. You become the anchor in a moving sea. And anchors don't chase waves, they hold ground. Peace also disrupts your own inner chaos. Sometimes the problem is not outside. It is inside your thoughts. One negative idea triggers another. One fear invites 10 more. It becomes a chain reaction. But when you practice calm awareness, you interrupt that chain. You notice the fear without feeding it. You acknowledge the worry without letting it multiply. It is like standing in a crowded train station and watching trains come and go. You don't have to board every train. In the same way, you don't have to follow every anxious thought. Your peace becomes the platform where thoughts pass without controlling you. There was a young woman who faced constant criticism at her workplace. At first, she reacted defensively to every comment. Her stress increased. Her confidence dropped. Then she made a decision. She would listen fully before responding. She would pause before replying. She would separate feedback from emotion. Over time, something changed. The criticism softened. Some of it even turned into respect. Her peace made people reconsider their tone. She didn't fight every battle. She chose her responses carefully. And in doing so, she confused the negativity around her. It could not grow in the soil of her calm. Your peace is not passive silence. It is deliberate strength. It is the choice to respond instead of react. It is the discipline to hold your center when life tries to spin you. And when you do this consistently, problems begin to lose their dramatic power over you. They still exist. They still require action. But they no longer control your emotional state. That is when something remarkable happens. Instead of feeling attacked by life, you start observing it. Instead of being overwhelmed, you become strategic. Instead of being consumed by conflict, you transform it. And in that transformation, you realize that your greatest advantage was never aggression, never loud resistance, but the quiet force of unshakable peace. The 4URTH key point is calm builds respect. Respect is not demanded in loud moments. It is earned in quiet ones. Anyone can appear impressive when everything is working in their favor. When the deal closes, when the applause is loud, when the numbers look good, confidence is easy. But respect is not built on easy days. It is built on difficult ones. It is built when something goes wrong and all eyes turn to you. In that moment, people are not just watching what you say, they are watching how you carry yourself. They are measuring your posture, your tone, your breathing. And if you remain steady, if your voice does not shake, if your decisions are not rushed by emotion, something shifts. Even before the problem is solved, you gain credibility. Think about the people you truly respect in your life. Not the loudest, not the flashiest. The ones who remain grounded when things fall apart. Maybe it was a parent who handled financial hardship without spreading fear through the house. Maybe it was a coach who stayed composed after a crushing loss and told the team, "We learn and we come back." That calm presence becomes unforgettable. It creates emotional safety. People feel stable around someone who is stable within themselves. And that stability turns into trust. Trust turns into respect. There was a manager in a small company who faced a public mistake. A project failed under his supervision. The team expected blame, excuses, maybe even anger. Instead, he called everyone together and said, "This one is on me. We review it. We fix it. We move. No drama. No finger pointing. Just responsibility delivered calmly." The room changed. His authority didn't weaken. It grew. Because calm ownership speaks louder than defensive explanations. Respect does not grow when you protect your ego. It grows when you protect your integrity. When you lose your temper under pressure, people may fear you. But fear is not respect. Fear creates distance. Respect creates loyalty. There is a big difference. A leader who shouts in crisis may get immediate obedience, but not long-term admiration. A leader who stays composed earns something deeper. People want to stand beside someone who does not collapse emotionally. They want to follow someone who does not react impulsively. Calmness signals maturity. It tells others that you are not ruled by impulse, that your decisions are thoughtful, that your reactions are measured. That message travels quietly but powerfully. Respect also grows inside you. Every time you handle a hard situation without losing yourself, you strengthen your self-image. You begin to see yourself differently. You stop doubting your ability to face pressure. You remember the moments when you held your ground. That internal respect becomes your foundation. There was a young woman who struggled with criticism at work. In the beginning, she defended herself quickly, sometimes emotionally, but over time, she learned to listen without reacting. She asked questions instead of arguing. Slowly, her coworkers began to take her more seriously, and she began to take herself more seriously too. Calm behavior reshaped her identity. People are always observing, even when you think they are not. Your children notice how you react to stress. Your colleagues notice how you handle setbacks. Your friends notice how you respond to disagreement. They may not comment on it, but they form conclusions. If you remain centered, if you do not let every challenge disturb your emotional balance, you send a silent message. I am dependable, and dependability is rare. In a world full of emotional swings and quick reactions, steady character stands out. Calm becomes your signature. There is a quiet dignity in someone who refuses to be shaken by every storm. Not because they are unaffected, but because they are disciplined. They feel the same pressure. They experience the same disappointment. But they choose composure. That choice builds a reputation that money cannot buy. It makes people think twice before underestimating you. It makes them trust your judgment. And even if no one applauds your restraint, something deeper forms around you. A steady aura of reliability. Over time, that aura becomes your strength. And that strength becomes the reason others look to you when everything around them feels uncertain. The 5th key point is calm protects your energy. Every day you wake up with a limited supply of energy. Not just physical energy, but emotional energy, mental focus, patience, clarity. And most people spend it carelessly. They give it to arguments that don't matter. They hand it over to worries that haven't even happened. They drain it replaying conversations in their heads. By the time a real challenge appears, they're already exhausted. Calm is not just about looking composed. It is about guarding your energy like it is precious currency. Because it is. Think of your energy like the battery on your phone. When it drops to 5%, even small tasks feel heavy. You lower the brightness. You close unnecessary apps. You protect what little power remains. But in life, we do the opposite. We run dozens of emotional peps in the background. Anger, comparison, fear, overthinking. And we wonder why we feel drained before noon. Staying calm means closing those background apps. It means refusing to let every notification of life pull you into emotional reaction. When you stay steady, you conserve strength for what truly matters. There was a man who worked 2 jobs to support his family. Long hours, little rest. But what amazed people was his attitude. He didn't complain about every inconvenience. He didn't argue over small misunderstandings. When asked how he stayed so balanced, he said, If I spend my energy fighting small things, I won't have strength for big responsibilities. He understood something powerful. Energy is finite, and where you direct it determines the quality of your life. Calm allowed him to save his strength for his goals, not waste it on noise. Emotional reactions are expensive because they multiply inside you. One moment of anger can replay in your head for hours. One rude comment can echo all day if you let it. And every replay costs energy. But when you choose calm, you shorten the lifespan of negativity. You acknowledge it, but you don't feed it. It's like someone throwing a small spark at you. If you react emotionally, you turn it into a fire. If you remain calm, it burns out quickly. Your energy stays intact. You might not realize how much exhaustion comes from internal resistance. When you fight reality in your mind, this shouldn't be happening. Why me? You create friction. That friction drains you. Calm acceptance does not mean giving up. It means you stop arguing with what already is. From that place, you can act clearly. I once met a student who failed an important exam. For days, he argued with himself, blaming teachers, questioning fairness. He felt drained, defeated. Then one morning, he decided to stop fighting the result and start preparing again. His energy shifted. The situation hadn't changed yet, but his internal resistance had. Calm acceptance freed his strength. Protecting your energy also means protecting your focus. When your mind is constantly disturbed by emotional waves, it becomes scattered. You start tasks but don't finish them. You plan but don't execute. Calm brings concentration. It allows you to channel your effort into one clear direction. Think of sunlight. When it spreads across the ground, it warms gently. But we end focus through a magnifying glass, it can ignite fire. Your calm focus has that same power. Without it, your energy is diluted. With it, your energy becomes effective. There will always be situations trying to pull you into emotional chaos. People will misunderstand you. Plans will change. Life will surprise you. If you react to everything, you will live in constant fatigue. But if you choose calm, you create a protective boundary around your inner resources. You begin to decide what deserves your reaction and what does not. That decision alone changes everything. You stop being emotionally available for every disturbance. You become selective, intentional, and with that selectiveness comes strength. Not loud strength, not dramatic strength, but sustainable strength that carries you through long seasons without breaking you. The 660H key point is calm is a sign of inner work. Anyone can look composed when life is smooth. But when pressure rises and you remain steady, that steadiness did not appear by accident. It was built in private. It was shaped in moments no one applauded. Calm under pressure is evidence of conversations you've had with yourself, habits you've practiced, thoughts you've corrected. It is the visible result of invisible discipline. When someone stays grounded in chaos, you are not just seeing personality, you are seeing preparation. Inner work is quiet. It does not announce itself. It happens when you choose reflection over reaction. When you sit with your emotions instead of letting them explode. When you admit your weaknesses instead of defending them. A young executive once shared that early in his career, he used to interrupt people constantly. He feared being overlooked. But after facing repeated conflict, he began working on his insecurity privately. He practiced listening without speaking. He trained himself to pause before responding. Months later, colleagues noticed the change. They described him as calm and mature. What they didn't see was the uncomfortable inner work that created that calm. Staying calm in difficulty means you have faced yourself before facing the world. You have examined your triggers. You have asked, why does this upset me so much? You have become aware of your patterns. Most people are strangers to their own emotions. They react without understanding the roots. But inner work brings awareness. Awareness creates space. And in that space, calm becomes possible. It's like cleaning a cluttered room. At first, you trip over everything. But once you organize it, you can move freely. When you organize your inner world, external chaos doesn't trip you as easily. There was a father who grew up in a household filled with shouting. Conflict meant raised voices. Disagreement meant anger. When he became a parent, he noticed the same habits rising inside him. One day, after losing his temper over something small, he saw fear in his child's eyes. That moment forced him inward. He began reading, reflecting, practicing breathing before responding. Over time, he changed his reactions. His home grew quieter. That calm did not come naturally. It came from deliberate inner effort. And that effort reshaped his family's atmosphere. Inner work also means healing old wounds. Sometimes we react strongly not because of the present situation, but because it touches an old scar. A simple comment can reopen past rejection. A small delay can awaken past disappointment. If you have not looked at those wounds, they control you silently. But when you face them honestly, when you allow yourself to understand your own pain, something shifts. You stop overreacting to small triggers. Your calm deepens because you are no longer fighting hidden battles inside yourself. Calm is strength refined. It is raw emotion shaped by self-awareness. Imagine a river. When it floods wildly, it destroys. But when it is channeled, it generates power. Your emotions are like that river. Inner work builds the channels. It gives direction. It prevents overflow. Many people try to suppress emotions, thinking that is calm. But suppression is pressure building underground. True calm is not suppression. It is understanding. It is allowing emotion to exist without letting it take control. That balance only comes from consistent reflection. When you see someone calm in the face of criticism, don't assume they don't feel it. They feel it. But they have practiced not being ruled by it. When you see someone steady during failure, don't assume they are unaffected. They are affected. But they have trained their perspective. Inner work is not glamorous. It often feels uncomfortable. It forces you to confront ego, pride, fear. But over time, it builds an inner foundation so solid that external storms cannot easily shake it. And when life tests you publicly, your private discipline quietly supports you from within. The SEVNTH key point is the storm always passes. When you are inside a difficult season, it feels endless. The night feels longer than usual. The weight feels heavier than it probably is. Your mind whispers, what if this never changes? That whisper is powerful. It stretches moments into mountains. But look back at your own life. There were days you thought you wouldn't recover. Exams you thought would define you. breakups that felt permanent, financial stress that kept you awake, and yet here you are, breathing, standing, moving forward. The storm felt eternal while you were in it, but it moved. It always moves. Think about weather itself. A thunderstorm can be loud, dramatic, even frightening. The sky darkens. The wind shakes trees. For a while, it feels like the world has changed completely. But no storm stays parked in one place forever. Clouds shift. Rain slows. Light returns. Nature does not panic during a storm. Trees bend. Birds hide. The earth absorbs the water. There is movement but no despair. In the same way, difficult seasons in your life are intense, but they are not permanent. They are chapters, not the whole book. I once met a man who lost his small restaurant after years of effort. He had poured his savings, his pride, his time into it. When it closed, he felt stripped of identity. For months, he introduced himself without mentioning his work because it hurt too much. He believed that chapter was his only chance. But slowly, he started again. Different idea, smaller space, new lessons. Years later, he said something simple. I thought the storm ended me. It just redirected me. What felt like an ending became a turn. But he could only see that after time had passed. When you are in the middle of difficulty, your emotions try to convince you that this moment defines you, that this failure is your identity, that this rejection is your value. But time has a way of shrinking what once looked enormous. The argument that consumed you last year now feels small. The mistake that embarrassed you now feels like a lesson. The pain that felt unbearable now feels like proof of survival. Distance changes perspective, but you only gain that distance if you endure instead of collapse. There is also something else storms do. They reveal strength you didn't know you had. When life is smooth, you don't test your endurance. You don't test your patience. You don't test your faith in yourself. But in difficulty, you discover parts of your character that comfort never demanded. A young athlete tore his ligament right before a championship season. For months, he watched from the sidelines. He felt useless, forgotten. But during recovery, he developed discipline, humility, and mental resilience. When he returned, he was not just physically stronger, he was emotionally deeper. The storm shaped him in ways victory never could. You might be in a season right now that feels unfair. Maybe you worked hard and still lost. Maybe you trusted someone and they walked away. Maybe you planned carefully and things still fell apart. It is easy to assume this is your permanent reality, but history, both personal and human, shows that change is constant. Economies fall and rise. Careers stall and restart. Hearts break and heal. The rhythm of life includes recovery. Just because you cannot see the clearing yet, does not mean it is not forming. When you understand that storms pass, you stop making permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. You stop quitting on days that are simply heavy. You begin to treat difficulty like weather. Serious, yes, but not eternal. You prepare. You endure. You stay calm not because it doesn't hurt, but because you know pain has movement. And in that understanding, something inside you steadies. You no longer see yourself as trapped in a lifetime of struggle. You see yourself walking through a season, aware that seasons change, aware that clouds shift, aware that beyond the noise of the rain, the sky is still there. waiting quietly for its moment to clear. So, when you step back into your life after this moment, understand something simple but powerful: the world outside may not change immediately. The challenges may still be there. The conversations you've been avoiding may still need to happen. The uncertainty may not disappear overnight, but you will not be the same person walking into it, because now you know that your greatest advantage was never aggression, never panic, never rushing to prove yourself. It was your ability to remain steady when everything around you felt unsteady. You know that control begins within you, that reactions have consequences, that peace unsettles chaos, that composure earns trust, that your energy is valuable, that real calm is built in private, and that no storm, no matter how loud, stays forever. Life will test you again. It always does. Not to break you, but to ask a quiet question: will you lose yourself, or will you hold your ground? And in that moment, you won't need loud motivation. You won't need dramatic words. You will just need a breath, a pause, a choice. You will remember that strength is not how hard you fight everything. Strength is how well you stand when things try or move you. There is a quiet confidence that grows in a person who has learned to stay calm in difficulty. It doesn't shout. It doesn't compete. It doesn't need validation. It simply knows. It knows that emotions can rise without taking control. It knows that problems can appear without defining identity. It knows that temporary discomfort does not decide permanent destiny. And that knowing changes how you walk. It changes how you speak. It changes how you think when something unexpected happens. Instead of reacting from fear, you respond from awareness. Instead of shrinking, you steady yourself. Instead of spiraling, you anchor. From this point forward, difficult moments will still come, but they will meet a different version of you. A version that understands that calm is not weakness. It is mastery. A version that does not hand over power to pressure. A version that trusts its own balance. And when you carry that balance into your daily life, into your home, your work, your relationships, you will notice something subtle but profound. Situations may still challenge you, but they won't control you. Emotions may rise, but they won't rule you. Storms may pass through, but they won't uproot you. That is quiet victory, not loud, not dramatic, just steady. And sometimes steady is everything.